Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Another day, another show by BW Hotelier. Life is beautiful, like they say. If the last two shows were in Rajasthan, the next two shows, including this one, are in Goa. And I'm amongst the lucky few who have a holiday while on job. Welcome to the 18th show of the GM Show series by BW Hotelier. Today is our 5th show of the West and the first of the 2 dedicated Goa focused shows. The second Goa show will be day after tomorrow, March the 24th at 5 p.m. Mark your calendar, block your date, block your time slot, and be there. After that, we move, and that will be the penultimate show of this 20-show series. Before we end with one good one down south on Tuesday, the 29th of March. This has been a very special series for us, extremely special. I love it. I've loved every moment. And now that we are nearing the end, I'm starting to plan for the next year. We shall do this. This has been highly successful, great viewership, and some of the best talent the Indian hospitality industry has to afford in general management has been there like it's there today. The topic for the show today is hospitality in India's tourism hotspot, Goa. These gentlemen are some of the best minds. They've got huge talent. One amongst them, of course, came in from the kitchen, all youngsters, and who knows, soon they'll be heading corporations. Let me not take away much from the time that's available on hand. I'll jump in straight away with our first introduction of my good friend who came from Agra to become a hotelier. He was in the kitchen, a chef, Tanveer Kwatra, like I call him Chef Tanveer Kwatra. Hello, Tanveer. You're muted. Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So Tanveer is the general manager of the W in Goa, a rather well-appointed asset. Tanveer sets the pulse for the team by re-energizing the sought-after W experience with their innovative, whatever, whenever philosophy and delivering an infectious and electrifying experience to the guests at India's first ever W hotel, which is in Goa. It's not every day you hear of someone with a culinary background turning into a general manager of a hotel. But Tanveer has made the transition seem like a piece of cake, like they say, pun intended. Right? So, well, from being a chef, he crossed over being a Dawson in the same asset, and then he's come back to head the property. Tanveer brings with him new age leadership, a unique vision, and a zest for creating the exceptional as he fulfills his role as the general manager of the W Goa. Good. Let me walk to Ranju, another Fauji. Ranju is the complex general manager of the Novotel Goa, Candolim, and the Novotel Goa Resort Spa. Hello, Ranju.
Thank you for having us.
Pleasure, my brother. So don't go by his rather hard and serious look in the creative. He's a happy person, like you see live. A seasoned professional, Ranju brings with him over 28 years of rich experience in hospitality business with several brands, including Taj and the Hyatt Hotels. A native of Bangalore, Ranju comes with a vast exposure in multiple international hospitality chains from across India, which makes him a strong pillar at Novotel Accor. Prior to joining Accor, Ranju was the general manager at the Taj Holiday Village Resort and Spa in Goa. So he's done Goa pretty much for a long while. So a Goa expert we have over here. Let me bring in here now Satish Kumar. He ends it with a P. Hello, Satish.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is ours, Satish. Satish is the general manager of the Leela in Goa. He graduated from the Regency College of Hotel Management at the Osmania University and is an alumni of the OCLD, the Oberoi Center for Learning and Development. He has 2 decades of exposure in the hospitality segment in APAC and the Middle East, has good pre-opening experience for which he is a specialist. He's launched 8 luxury hotels and has been associated with brands like the Oberoi, Taj, Hilton, and Marriott International. He was also the recipient of the esteemed Global Award for Excellence in Delivering Guest Experiences. Excellent. I now zero in on Amit Kumar. Hi, Amit.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Bhuvnesh, for this opportunity.
A pleasure. You've come in by your own strength, my brother. Amit is a general manager of the ITC Grand Goa. He started his hospitality career at the Taj President Mumbai, and later he has worked in a few leading hotels in India before joining ITC Hotels in 2017. Prior to his current assignment, Amit was associated with ITC at the ITC Grand Central Mumbai, Welcome Hotel the Savoy in Mussoorie, and ITC Windsor in Bangalore as the general manager. With over 2 decades of work experience in the hospitality industry, Amit brings with him management expertise garnered through Indian and international exposure from his previous experiences. Excellent. Now on to the man at the Marriott Resort and Spa in Goa, Gaurav Apte. Hello, Gaurav.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Bhuvi, for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure.
Delighted. We're delighted to have you here. Gaurav has over 2 decades of rich experience in hospitality and has held various leadership roles at the Marriott assets across India. His motto to excel professionally is by breaking the barriers of change in order to drive operational excellence, conceptualize the company's vision, and achieve growth through exceeding expectations of all stakeholders. Prior to Goa Marriott Resort and Spa, Gaurav was associated with the Courtyard by Marriott in Ahmedabad as the general manager for 3 years. Brilliant. Last but not the least, I now home in on this boy from Hyderabad, a co-Punjabi. We are 3 of us, 4 including me, Amandeep Grover. Hi, Aman.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Bhuvi, for having us and great connecting with all the fellow GMs.
Pleasure. So we can safely call you Amandeep Garu.
You could.
Yeah, Amandeep Grover is the general manager for the Hilton Goa Resort. A seasoned hotelier with over 2 decades of experience spanning across different positions internationally. A lot of international experience here. Amandeep is a leader with a vision that has portrayed all his roles with panache, from being the pre-opening leader as a general manager to enduring the strategic outlook with expertise in various key aspects for operating hotels. He continues to deliver an engaging guest experience while driving the diverse requirements of the hospitality industry. Excellent. That's a great introduction for my co-colleagues on this show. A bit on the dressing over here. Ranju is the oddball. He's wearing a jacket and I just wore a Nehru. They say in Goa, you stand out not by the jacket you wear, but how you drive the business. This is a luxury over there, right? So you will see these general management leaders in the dress that they wear daily to work. All right, great. So before we get the discussion, let us watch a brief AV of our supporting partner, Seeba, ThinKitchen. Now let's dive into the session straight away. We are 10 minutes past the start. Hospitality in India, in India's tourism hotspot, Goa. Goa clearly is a leadership location within India. That's a no-brainer. And is a success story which most would want to emulate from an Indian hospitality, travel, and tourism standpoint. The industry and government would want to take it to the next level and aim to go for global destination position. What is important is good, world-class, clean, and sustainable hospitality, travel, and tourism. And that experience starts well before the guest lands, when they start planning and book dates, their stay, their travel, and the works. The alignment has to be perfect and near clockwork, be it international or for that matter, the much wanted domestic travelers now. All in all, Goa leads and now must keep lifting the bar to go for a global top slot. It must be a good benchmark within India for the other states to lift their game. And that's quite an introduction for where you guys are. Let me now start the debate. And I shall straight away move in with a rather sketchy and long question in two parts, Ranju. So if you missed the second part, just call me back again and I'll be there. Goa can be that shining beacon to lead the Indian travel and tourism onslaught like I did in my introduction. Is Goa truly a tourism hotspot, and does it have the best quality hospitality assets across classifications to meet the aspirational travelers' demands? Or is there a lot of hype? Do set the record straight.
Thank you, Bhuvi. Actually, very straight answer to this. Yes, Goa is a tourism hotspot, and there's no denying that. At least in the context of India, it is. And what we've seen in the recent past, and you mentioned as well, the domestic business has beautifully flown into our business hotels and is sustaining us very well. If you see, Goa is among the best leisure destination in the country, if not the best. I would put it that way, right? With the best combination of the best beaches, nightlife, food, adventure. I think we have it all, and much more actually. We have it all. So Goa, I think, is a very aspirational for most of people, at least from the country, from the India perspective. And every traveler from India has wants to visit Goa. And what we have seen recently is most of the people are coming multiple times a year. And I think the fellow GMs will agree to that. Maybe because, the international destinations are not open because of the pandemic and so on. But even before pandemic, we started seeing this trend. So which is very encouraging, and actually it gives us a lot of confidence that, Goa is destined to be go stronger and stronger as we progress. And I think it's evolving. There's no doubt Goa is evolving. If you relate to Goa from 15, 20 years back, which had very handful of hotels to what we are right now, we got it all basically. Various segment classifications, various hotels doing various price points. So we have it all, and everyone seems to be doing well. It's not that one person is doing well or one segment or one classification is doing well. Everyone is seem to be doing well. So that itself, validates the point that Goa is getting stronger with each year passing by. And I think we're still evolving, and there'll be much more hotels coming in. And also one major point is Mopa Airport, which is coming in, which is scheduled to open sometime towards this year, I think August or September, and the international travels which will start subsequently, I hope. I think it will add further, legs or strength to the Goa story. So I think Goa is there. That is the first part of your question, I think. Right. So I think Goa. The next part is the hype, right?
Yeah.
So very interestingly, you called it a hype. If it is hype, it rightfully so. I think Goa is there. Is, like I said, is part of the itinerary of most of the people across the country, right? And globally, I won't say so much, but we'll get there. That is the confidence that we have with the international airport coming up. I think it'll become easier for people to travel from overseas if the situation permits from a pandemic and from the war perspective as well. But I think people start coming in, and actually Goa was one of the first destination to have, foreign tourists coming in. So I think Goa is hyped, rightfully so. So if you can use that word, I think I'm very confident and highly robust about this, optimistic about this Goa market demand.
So, most people are clear about Goa's standing. I mean, for the naysayers, if I was to ask you to rank 1 to 5 the destinations in India, how would you stack? What would be the stacking order?
You're asking me, Bhuvi?
आप ही से पूछ रहा हूँ, Ranju.
I think Goa, I mentioned that is one of the best destination. The very fact it has to offer to every segment, every occasion. I think I would say that we can compare this with something like Rajasthan, but it's totally different. You need to understand Goa is a very different.
Bullet points में बोलो रंजू 1 2 3 4 5 किसको लगाओ?
Goa is number 1. And I'm saying it with all seriousness, though I'm laughing about it, because Goa is a 365 days a year destination. Initially,
who's number 2?
Number 2, I never thought about. We always think of being number 1. I think Rajasthan can follow as number 2 because Rajasthan again is very seasonal. There's 6 months on and 6 months off. I think if you're talking from then the hills are picking up right now. I would put the hills, you can divide them into, Himachal and, Dehradun.
You're forgetting Kerala, are you?
Kerala right now is it's a good, strong story. It was. But I think Kerala will take some time to come back. It's lost its plot. That's my personal opinion.
Accor may give you a move there.
No, Kerala from a leisure destination point of view.
It is.
I'm not referring to them as from city, Cochin.
I must tell you, the Incredible India story started from there, and Kerala put themselves right up there.
Bhuvi, I agree to you. Bhuvi, I agree that God's Own Country was one of the best campaigns. It's still one of the best, considered to be one of the best campaigns done by a state on tourism. I think it's fabulous, but somehow Goa doesn't seem to be catching him somewhere there in the top 5. That is my personal view. So it's Goa followed by Rajasthan to a large extent. Though Rajasthan has got a different vibe to it. Then the hill stations come in. I think that's about it.
So let me now move to Gaurav, Ranju. Good response, good exchange with you. Gaurav, tell me, international and domestic guests, it's a no-brainer that a dollar spending Gora is better for business and they don't mind spending without really bothering about the cost and budgets given the favorable exchange rate. But you can't ignore the Desi rupee spending traveler, So if I'll ask you, what impact do each of them have to your business and business prospects? How are their expectations and needs different? Do their profiles match, and hence the deliverable, given that the Westerners are better placed with their budgets, like I said?
All right. I think in the last 2 years, we've seen a huge curve of learning in terms of how our guests were, let's say in 2019, to what the guests currently are. And we've seen a gradual change. And all my colleagues would agree that in the last couple of years, our international guests or our international travelers have, reduced drastically. I think for some of the hotels, we were sitting at probably 90% of domestic clientele as compared to probably 70% of domestic travelers earlier. In terms of the expectations, I think, like you rightly said, the Goras, they want certain things and they know what the standards are abroad and they expect the same standards in your hotel. I think it's very imperative for all of us to deliver as per the standards that are expected. They do not want any, fancy stuff. They just want the basic, and they're willing to pay for it. If you compare that to our Indian paying domestic travelers, I think what the last 2 years have done is, because people could not travel to international destinations, and also to places that they always wanted to visit, let's say Thailand, Maldives, etc. They all started coming into Goa, and the expectations, because they couldn't travel for the last 2 years, are skyrocketing. So to manage those expectations, it becomes a little bit of a challenge, because they need personalized service, they need upgrade to a different category. It's not that they're not willing to pay the Indian rupee, they are willing to pay for it, but at the same time, they want something that they are paying for. So they want to compare that with value for money as well. And I think that's where it's extremely critical for all of us to maintain that balance and not treat them like goras, that, this is what we are doing and this is what you're paying for. So I think we've also kind of learned over the last 2 years that you can't do a cookie cutter approach to both the type of guests, as they are very important. And as Ranju mentioned, that the international travel opening, we will see that the goras are coming back. So we'll have to maintain that balance moving forward. So in terms of expectations, which was your second part to the question, I think what the goras need is a quick service and basic expectations for the price that they are paying. The domestic travelers are looking for a value for money. At the same time, it's not that they are paying less or they want something less. So I think that's where you need to kind of maintain that balance.
Excellent. The current generation of Indians, they actually research and plan out, and once they're there, they don't hold themselves back for an extra drink because it was going over their budget, or a fuller meal or a good party outside. So yeah, as long as you are able to deliver and meet their expectations, they don't mind spending. That's my view. I just hope I'm not wrong. Do you agree?
True, absolutely. I think what we have seen is they are willing to look at options, but they have done their research. So before they come to your hotel, they actually have 20 things that they can do, and they want to hear it from you, which are the top 3 or top 5, so that they can make that decision, and they're willing to pay for it. So if they want to spend the night in the casino, or if they want to do a private event, they have the money to spend for it.
Excellent. I'll move to Aman. Aman, not all hotels are on the beach, or perhaps with their own exclusive beach. How important is having this, and what effect does it have on the rates, the type of guests you attract, and the ticket size or their spends? After all, if you have your own beach, the guest is almost captive to you, will not venture out unless for sightseeing or some shopping or something. And once the guest is out, really, then he's out of your control, right? Then he's out of reach for you, and he's somebody else's money.
So thanks, Govi. When you think of Goa, I think the first thing that comes to your mind is beaches. It's synonymous to Goa. I personally feel there is a lot more that Goa has to offer. And like Ranju was mentioning, Goa caters to all sorts of segments. I feel every property in Goa is so unique and so diverse. I think with people having experienced beaches, I think there is a lot of opportunity for them to experience other properties which are not beach properties. And I think people are also bored. Case in point, our own property, which is not at all a beach property. How do we leverage? Obviously, we look at the USPs around our own property, whether it's the views, whether it's the size of rooms. And I think every property should look at that, market that, which will keep bringing clients back to them. Your second point was, once they go out, obviously they spend on shacks and beaches and so on. I think it's what you have to offer at your own property around Goa. And there's so much to offer. Goa itself has got so many curated experiences that are there, which absolutely, if you want, you offer that to the client, they stay with you, they're within your property. Your F&B offerings, I think that's a big thing. I think it's a mindset thing where I'm sure we all agree that people just want to go to shacks, but it's not the case. It's what you offer within your property, with your USPs. I think people are willing to, go to the non-beach properties as well. And I think we're seeing more and more because it's been there, done that for the clients. So I think that's a big takeaway for that.
Yeah, true. So, but it is an advantage of being on the beach and then keeping them locked in.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. That is true. But as I said, with newer properties opening with unique experiences they have to offer, I think the millennials are looking at that new experiences, if I may say so, and they are willing to spend that extra. So case in point, talking about the rates, it's easy to position yourself as that unique property. So it's not that difficult.
True. So I'll now move to Satish. Satish, tell me, you're heading the Leela in Goa, another excellent asset and a great brand, and you're in the luxury space. Goa and F&B are such a huge draw. Yeah, that again is a no-brainer. How big is the F&B pool, and how can you give the best to your guests without them having to venture out to taste Goa cuisine or other delicacies and cuisines that they wish to savor? Does your hotel customize to what a guest wants? Because customization is now critical to the guest experience. भाई मेरे को ये नहीं खाना, मैं vegetarian हूँ, I want this particular cuisine, or I don't want to have red meat, or I don't like seafood. Do you customize?
Bhuvi, to speak about F&B, it is certainly a very, very interesting space, considering the fact that the way it is evolved over the last 10 years, right? So to answer your question, how big is the F&B pool? To be honest, it is as equivalent as to the total rooms revenue. 50% of our hotel revenue comes from clearly food and beverage. And that's how strong it is. And to be located in a Goa and South Goa, when you have so much of competition around, how do we ensure that the customers do not step out or venture out with so many established restaurants? I think for us, we revolve around the three major stuff when it comes to F&B, which is number one, how do we make it a very aspirational F&B? Because F&B has become a more deciding factor for, I guess, even before booking a hotel. They check out as to what are the outlets that the hotel has got, and that's when they decide. And number two, how do we make it very local and authentic, right? For the Leela Goa, if you were to look at, one of the things for Charles, how do we customize? If a customer has to check into the hotel, they got an amazing sundowner at Susegado right on the beach, considering the fact that we have a private beach. Post that they can get into a Jamawa, which is our Indian fine dining restaurant, and we have been serving, and the most popular dishes are the Goan thalis, and it is as simple as a thali, but the fact is that's very well received. And then the next day, moving on to the Riverside restaurant, which is an Italian fine dining, right? And we also become so aspirational that we realize that people want to spend on beverage too. So getting someone as a chief mixologist for the property without having a beverage menu, but this chief mixologist goes around, speaks to them, understand what is the mood for the evening, and preparing a drink. That makes it more aspirational than ever. I think it is the way you program your restaurant and bars, and very distinctly, so that the guests have a very unique and captivating experiences. While we have all these 4 restaurants and bars, what makes the Leela Goa unique is the experiential dining. So we tell the guest, you choose the venue and we plate the menu for you. It's a 75-acre land. So you can choose on the beach, in the golf course, or in the restaurant, or on the pool side. You choose the spot and say, I want to dine in here. And we curate those private and experiential dining venues. So from our perspective, the way we look at is make it very aspirational, so that guests do not step out of the property. Make it very local and authentic. There is no husha about it. Just give what they want. And number 3 is make it very experiential, which is very magical, right? Once you sort of set up in your memory, you want to come back. I think that's where we create those memorable moments through the F&B dining.
So that's the experience, right?
Indeed.
Tell me, breakfast is almost like it's a given, right? If you're staying in the hotel, you're not going to go out for breakfast. It usually comes with the package as fait accompli. So how big is the breakfast for a guest?
It is as big as getting sold out every single day, and all of them coming at the same time, which is 9:30 to 10:30. and I would say all hands on deck. So it is a very, very important meal. And that's why I think getting the right balance and approach towards the breakfast is very critical. The fact that it's a part of your room package, it's understood that it is nothing less than as luxurious as the rest of the meals. And for now, especially now post-pandemic, for the domestic guests, the breakfast is still one of this most important meal. And how do you sort of prepare a meal which is, people traveling all across India? That is still a big question, and we continue to evolve every single day, looking at where are our customers traveling from different parts of India. I think that continues to be evolving from time to time, but it is 100% sold out when it comes to breakfast across the properties.
I agree. For me, if I have to decide upon a hotel, I first zoom in on the breakfast. How good is that? Because you get up at leisure, you have breakfast at leisure. Excellent. Staying with F&B now, let me get back to you after the introduction. Amit, ITC and F&B are like hand in hand, right? So with F&B in the backdrop, that it is a big driver, like Satish and I were just chatting up for the industry, it can make or break any chance that a guest may ever come back, or perhaps put a good word of mouth, or worse, he may not, or he may mess up the review that you wouldn't want. He'd sink his teeth into your flesh and leave a lot of mark. How do you manage that? I mean, ITC has some of the best brands of restaurants. Their food, is everybody caters to the best, but ITC kind of specializes. So tell us, how do you manage your best stack, be it quality, range, cuisine, or service?
Thank you, Bhuvnesh. I think taking the baton from Satish, in today's scenario, in the competitive world, it is not about just meeting expectation. It's all about meeting and exceeding expectation. In today's world, the guests today are so well traveled, and hence the expectation are equally high. So comparison within the brand or within other properties are inevitable. Hence, we have to always ensure the highest standards of service and amenities are provided. So a normal a guest will not just be happy with meeting expectation, what he's looking for. So our standards, our service and amenities, what we provide has to be the highest quality. Well, the average length of stay for our guest is 3 nights. And of course, the expectation is in terms of stay, we give various experience in terms of whether it's a local, recreational, culinary experience. Thus, we ensure we provide our guests with variety of cuisine and customize it based on the needs and expectation. So exceeding guest expectation is something what the team does every day and works really hard on it. Talking about your second question, in terms of, how do we maintain it and how do we do it? I think, by maintaining the quality, and quality also by consistency, because doing this every day, day in and day out is something which is the key. So maintaining the quality and doing it consistently is something what, we do it every day, and that's how we do it. Keeping our best foot forward for all the times is something we follow at our hotel with well-traveled guests. In this world, the guests are digitally savvy, expectations are high, of course, so they can put anything on any, whether it's, as you rightly said, in terms of our positive or negative reviews. So that's maintaining of quality is very, very key, is what something which I feel is very, very important. It's not about doing it one day, but doing it every day. So as rightly said by you, in ITC Hotel, we have, the strength is cuisine. And of course, we have designated food Sherpas. So what we have is like, we have, whether it's the food Sherpa or the butlers who customizes, we just spoke about customization and enhance guest experience. Like we have in our hotel also, we have 6 award-winning restaurants, out of which 4 are specialty restaurant, where you have Italian, you have, Northwest Frontier, you have Indian, you have the all-day dining, you have Goan. But even then, when the guest is staying more than 3 or 4 days, you have to customize. You have to customize because, of course, you'll not be able to cater after 3 days of a guest staying in the hotel.
So Amit, tell me, Satish was just saying that 50% of his revenue comes from F&B. how are you placed? I mean, similar figures, less or more?
I would say it's 40%. It's not exactly 50%. So of course, every hotel is different in this parameters. But yes, for our hotel, the rooms is 60% and 40% is food and beverage, including banquet bars. And of course, not to forget spa and others. So put together is 60-40 as a ratio.
All right, excellent. That gives us a good indication of where, of how things stack up. Now let me move on to the chef on our panel, who became a general manager, Chef Kwatra. Tanveer, parties, nightclubs, discos make Goa what it is, fun and loads of action. Goa is a big destination for the party animals, and more than the hospitality industry who want them back, they must itch to get back. So in 3 parts, if I was to ask you, when do you see it begin? It has already begun, but when do you see it begin in its true sense? This is the biggest magnet, second part, biggest magnet, the biggest pull that draws traffic. After all, there are guests who want a quiet getaway like me. I'm as my beard shows, more than shake my leg, my limbs shake. But I want a quiet getaway. I want to be by the side of the beach, unwind by the sea. And I want to be away from the hectic life. Just give us a sense.
So, if I answer this question, is it a hype or a reality? In my point of view, it is a reality for a certain section of people, and it is a hype for the rest. So if you're looking at the nightlife aspect of Goa, I mean, it's more pertaining to this belt of Vagator and Anjuna, but again, it is restricted to a certain sect of people who come, and like everyone mentioned, Goa has a lot more to offer. It is a playground of food and beverage, and let's not forget, this is the reason why we see people traveling from the country, different parts. You've got so many options today here across the bandwidth, and there is something for everyone. Everyone wants self-love today, right? And you've got beaches to pamper yourself. You've got spas, you've got greatest of spas. So it's the experiential F&B, recreational activities, which is the pull of Goa. I mean, people come to Goa because they want to ride a bike. And that's not funny. They want to get onto a bike. They want to be seen on the roads. They want to go to a shack. That's the biggest pull. Yes, nightlife is seen as a little bit of a hype. Is it in its full peak? Yes, it is. Did it stop? No. Maybe the intensity of it reduced. Obviously, between the waves, there was a pause. But it has always been there because, people in this belt feed off this nightlife. So again, it's restricted to a certain section of people who want to come for this. And I have seen people, come to Goa for 7 days, stay in the south for 3 or 4, and then, come to north and stay. I mean, I've seen people coming from across the hotels, from people who are on the panel. And it's just that they want to experience the full Goa. And F&B plays a really, really big role. Yes, it's important for them to retain in your hotel, but let me tell you, people come with a list, right? That this is what they have to do. So for a hotel like us, it gets more challenging to retain them. But yeah, experiences is what, makes them stay back in your hotel. But definitely the biggest pull is experiential food and beverage, recreational activities, and the self-love that you get on the beaches. I think that's what draws people to Goa.
So that's a great response. So obviously they plan their trip, they research well, right? And then they zero in on the location, the brand. I think the brand also plays a great role, right?
Absolutely.
Right. And W is just the one W in the country, right? So they know where to be. So if you're an aspirational brand location, an asset. So you have half the game done. So you need to first get into that aspirational space. And yes, the sense that I get at halfway mark is that Goa is a complete package. It has everything across more the length and the breadth of the location. Excellent. I shall now take a short 5-second break and introduce the next show. So this is our next show in Goa. Hotel business in Goa's changing tourism landscape. We have Sunil Kumar from the West End. We have Suvir, Sodi. We have Surajit. We have Rajendra Menon of the Zuri. We have Arjun. We have Ricardo. So all the brands, again, some great assets over there. And of course, one of them has a casino, the Zuri, right? So it'll be a great chat. See us day after tomorrow, same time, 5 p.m. Block your time slot. If you haven't registered, register. Ranju, one of my favorite topic is all-inclusive, right? Not much has been done in India. In fact, not much at all. Nothing at all, right? And Club Med is driven by all-inclusive. Is all-inclusive something worth doing, a good deal to offer for a hotel and guest perspective, or give the guest a choice? आप all inclusive ले लो या हम customize कर देंगे. What's your view?
Thank you, Bhuvi. It's a tough one, actually. Many GMs before me have said, food and beverage happens to be a very critical vertical in our business that we do, right? It's not only rooms. Satish mentioned 50-50 and Amit did 40-60. So we all there somewhere. Now, I don't know how to, it's right or wrong. It's a very thin line, which I think Club Med or all-inclusive does well as well, if it's done properly. If you have your culinary stories and well supported. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly fine.
I thought I lost you. So if you can do all inclusive, because there are a lot of international chain, especially in the Red Sea belt and Mediterranean area, without naming any brand actually, they do it very beautifully, and the premium luxury brands, they do all inclusive packages, and without compromising on the food and beverage quality or the innovative or improvement, right? So if you can manage to protect your revenue streams, not have room revenue overshadow your F&B component part of it, which actually is very discouraging for the culinary teams. If you try to give them a dal, roti, chicken tikka, makhani, and paneer lavabdar menu that they're doing for some all-inclusive guest, so there's no innovation and there's a lot of discouragement to your culinary and F&B team. I think that is very important to get that right. Over a period of time, what has happened is, if you relate to the early mid-90s, when Goa had very handful of hotels, and it was very seasonal, and monsoon season, most of the hotels which were there operating at that time would be shut. And the idea came in to start getting in guests. I'm talking from a Goa perspective now. And all inclusive started to encourage people to get that kind of footfall and some volumes to have a 12-month operation in a year. So that was what it started us off. And at times what has happened is, we have not changed our mindset to differentiating it. So I don't know whether it's right or wrong. If you get it right, if you do not compromise on your F&B, because F&B happens to be a very critical component of your total experience. You have huge manning in F&B in all hotels. I think, and they're very capable people, and they should be able to given the opportunity to express themselves in terms of innovation. From a price position point of view, you need to price yourself well, give premium product, right? Have a marketing done around it, and let's see. I think that's what we are aiming at, and everyone is doing that, because it's not that we like to do, like again, chicken tikka makhani buffets or dal makhani and tandoori roti and 4 desserts, which has got gulab jamun and pineapple gato. So that those menus are out. So we are all encouraged and basically wanting to do good stuff.
So tell me, is it too early for the idea, or somebody must bite the bullet?
No, it's not. It's people are doing it, and I think over a period of time, with evolution and a lot of new brands coming in, and the mindset of the consumer, like you said, is changing. One drink extra. I think that is what is encouraging people across and most of the hotel management companies to give that kind of importance to food and beverage and make the vertical self-standing, especially in those middle months of monsoon, instead of one getting overshadowed by the other. So I think, in my view, I think this is a very fair point. So you can do, all inclusive, but then get the pricing right.
All right,
Okay.
super, super.
So a lot of GMs are encouraged to reduce the pricing in all inclusive to make sure the revenues in room look better than STR, which a lot of people do, and I'm seeing it. But it should not be done because your culinary team is, talented set of people. I think they should be encouraged. And this is a F&B person speaking, like Tanveer Kwatra and Amit Kumar, right? I'm not Gaurav is front office. Aman is again, and Satish, I'm not sure. You're food and beverage.
I agree.
So this is a food and beverage man saying from his heart.
So I get a sense. Now let me just move in with you, Gaurav. Gaurav, the general manager's job is no cakewalk. It's a 24/7 role. I mean, your mobile has to be on. You can't keep your internet off. Kab mail aa jaye, kab call aa jaye, kab WhatsApp aa jaye, kab WhatsApp call aa jaye. Perhaps the only job, I mean, tongue in cheek, that matches your job is that of a doctor, and within that of a gynecologist. I mean, when is there a call for a delivery and the doctor has to be up to it, right? Or perhaps a power plant operator, a roadway or locomotive driver, right? Or a shippy or a pilot. These parallels may not be matching, but I think I made my point. Now that I've made my point, tell us, how does the general manager live a balanced life, right? How does he get his unit to have a balance in their lives? What is the trick? Because you have to be on top of everything, smiling each coming day.
All right. I think, firstly, thank you for recognizing the fact that a GM's job is not easy, and you need to be 24/7 available, not only to your team, but also to the guest and also to the owners and all the other stakeholders. So, yeah, thank you for recognizing that.
Oh, absolutely.
I think, it's definitely a skill that you acquire over time. But I think the most important thing is to have trust. And when I say trust, not only with the team members that you have, but also in the processes that you set. So let me divide this into three aspects. The first is at work, the other is at home, and in general. So the first thing is at work. When you go to work, the first thing that you need to do is kind of set your priorities right. So, everybody must have done that Stephen Covey's time management matrix or prioritizing matrix. So there are different quadrants. So you need to decide what is your quadrant that you need to focus on. Is it urgent and important? It's not important, but urgent, stuff like that. So I think that is one thing that definitely helps to get things out of the way quickly. The second most important thing at work is to, when I said trust, it's also about trusting the people to do, what is expected out of them. A lot of times what happens is, GM thinks that I should not give this authority, or I should not delegate this. And that's when you end up doing a lot of stuff yourself, which you could have idly given it to your number 2 or number 3 to, deliver or execute. Then you need to focus on your team members. So at work, you kind of did your aspect of prioritization, but what about your team members? So I follow a detailed rostering. So, a lot of the colleagues on the show will agree that from Friday to Sunday, it's a chaos in Goa market. And that's the reason you need to have the best people on the shop floor during this time. And hence you need to have, offs which are given to your team members so that they can relax, they can spend time with their family or their loved ones. So try and see if you can manage those offs in the next coming days. I know it's extremely busy. Most of the hotels are doing somewhere close to 80 to 95% occupancy for this month. So I think it's extremely important that you trickle it down, saying that offs are important or leaves are important. For the team, what we have done is we've introduced a pilot project called as No Overtime. So when I say no overtime, it basically means that you need to ensure that your associates, which are the rank and file team members, leave on time. Most of the time, it's a pet peeve that our 9 hours of shift do not end up in 9 hours. It's usually 12 hours, and then we need to kind of work for 10 days without getting an off, and so on and so forth. So that is something that we have kind of tried to not entertain and ensure that everybody gets their offs and do not work that extra shift. So that's the work related thing. In terms of family, I think when I said get your offs and get your leaves, get that off, get that time to de-stress yourself. I think the biggest thing that I get relaxed is to spend time with my dog, who's been with me for almost 12 years, and my little son, who's 5 years old. So I think that's a de-stress for me, and I'm sure that that's a de-stress for most of the other people, to spend time with their loved ones. And the third most important thing, this is work, family, and the third most important thing is try to keep yourself fit. I ensure that my morning time is when I give it my best to have a great day. So be it running, be it cycling, be it swimming, whatever you want to do, at least spend that time to get the day running. And the most important part is nutrition. So what happens is, our hoteliers, we do not eat on time, or we do not spend that much of effort to see what we're eating. So I think nutrition plays a very important role. And trust me, if you do these things right, it'll create a new zeal and a passion for you to work and balance your career as well as your personal life. So that is what works for me, and I think
I think that's extremely well put, and I think it's part of your company's system also, right? From Raj Menon to everybody.
Absolutely. And putting people first has always been our core focus, or the pillar of our brand.
Right.
So.
Excellent. Thanks, Gaurav. That's a good insight, and good to know you're balancing it well. So you've once got to organize, step back and look at what you planned and how did you deliver. I'll now go back to Aman. Aman, मेरे को ये बताओ, excursions, right? I mean, coming back from your last question, right? We spoke about exclusive beaches and all. So tell me, do you stitch excursions out of your hotel for guests, or do you leave them to their own planning and methods, right? Goa has so much to do, the party circuit, like Tanveer and me, we just chatted up, water sports, spiritual tourism, shopping, F&B. There's so much to do over there.
Absolutely. I mean, just to answer your question in a small nutshell, yes, we do stitch, curated experiences, and I did mention that in the first part as well. I think one thing that's very important is Goa is more than the BBC, not the news channel. It's the beach, booze, and casino. Yeah, that's a new one. So it's a lot more the city has to offer. There's just so much to do. We ourselves have obviously tied up with a couple of vendors who do amazing curated Goan experiences, which do exist. I mean, little did we know that Goa has more than 100 species of birds. There's great, opportunities of hot air balloon rides. Even the local experiences, going into an old Portuguese house, having a nice Goan meal, things like that, which are not known to a guest, which is where I think as a hotel, we do a quite good job of it, which goes with the tagline of explore the unexplored. And we are very conscious of, showcasing that untapped side of Goa. There are beautiful experiences like going into a local poder, which is nothing but a Goan baker who bakes bread. So there's plenty to offer. Yes, there are usual tics you need to do: go into a casino, go to the beach shack, see the church. That's absolutely there. But yes, I think as hotels, I think we've all started to explore this side of Goa, and we started to curate a lot more experience.
Tell me, we've just been reading international travelers going to open to normal schedules from the 27th of March. That's very, very positive. After a gap of almost 2 years, right, we'll step out of Vande Bharat, or as it's known internationally, bubble. How do you think will that impact the arrival of the big buck spending international traveler? Will these travelers be, at the beginning, be slightly circumspect before they open up to travel out, and especially to India? What will they expect from us? Because the world will unfold the red carpet and extend them deals. Maldives is, Maldives, Qatar, Mauritius, all these countries, we're getting so many invites because they want to pull us away.
So, I mean, firstly, it's going to be a great move. Obviously, international travel opening, it opens up the whole country. I personally feel, you mentioned about places like Kerala and Rajasthan. I think they are obviously hotspot for international travel because the way they've been positioned more than Goa. Goa has been popular, but the domestic tourism has caught up a lot. So we've already seen that happen. We've already seen international tourists already making small inroads, especially for us at Marriott with the whole Marriott Bonvoy program. We are able to tap that customer with much ease. So definitely it adds a lot of value to our business. But to answer your question, are they going to be a little wary? I don't think so. I see the West being more fearless. You see America, you see Europe, they have been the most fearless when they talk about COVID, right? They just wake up one day and say, okay, there are no masks today, right? And so I find them more confident traveling to India, and we just did a big tie-up with one of the French music companies where we got this event called Circle Down. So we had almost about 120 people traveling from the US, from the Europe. So definitely I did not see that fear. As far as the deals are concerned, I don't think any of us would like to offer them deals, but definitely they need to pay the right price, which I think, over the years, we haven't got the buck for our experience in this country. And I think this is the time that over the last 2 years, we've made a mark, and we've, as hotels, positioned ourselves. And then this is the time where we'll charge the right price to the customer, which was missing prior to 2019, and definitely Goa is no more a cheap holiday. It has to be at par with the other locations. So hence I feel that there's not going to be much difference there.
Yeah, I agree. And they've saved enough by not traveling for 2 years. So they wouldn't mind spending a little bit extra and catching up over what they've lost.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Tanveer. So good to know that you're positive and going for it. Good. Satish, back to you. This social medias and reviews can be good, bad, and ugly, right? You can do your best. You may come back assured that you've sent your guest away happy, satisfied, and have made a relationship. An odd ball or two will still go ahead and do what no GM and his team would want, a bad review or less than the best review. How do you manage that? What are the downsides? How many such cases do you come across? And why would guests do this?
So I think, first of all, we all believe in one thing for sure, that we all live and learn. And social media has become such a big space that it continues to evolve. If I were to go back 22 years ago when I started my career, the reviews were only one way, and which I'm sure most of my colleagues will agree, that was duty manager's log, which was only with the duty manager, and that's the only way you'll get to know every single review. From there, we moved on to emails. Meeting the general manager continuously remains the same. From there to Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, it's evolving every single week, right? As we continuously get all these reviews, I think it is important for us to believe in that there is no alternative for perfection, right? We continue to strive hard to become perfect on every single day. I think one of the most important things is with the social media, there are several pros and cons. I tend to believe that there are more pros. I think the reach is much wider, even it's the same with the negative review. But as a company, we have certain fair policies in place which allow us to sort of manage each of this. As a matter of fact, as a hotel, we have invested in a solid digital marketing team, which is based out of the hotel, just to manage the digital bit. This team is more or less 24/7, looking at every single platform, and our time is respond to the guest within 2 hours. It might be a guest who is in-house, or a guest who is expected to come in future stay, or the guest who is already checked out. Right. And one of the most recent innovations, what we implemented is, as a Leela brand, once you check in, within 6 hours, you get an email, which is more like a guest satisfaction survey, asking you how your stay been in the last 6 hours, and is there anything else we can do to make it better over the next 48 hours. I think once you get enough of this meat, you can fix it. To answer a couple of things, what did we do to get enough reviews? For example, at the Leela Goa, we got enough of Instagram corners, and we got people like Instagraphers who take your photo, and we got enough of QR codes. We encourage the guests, scan the QR code, go in and reach out to any of our team members, let it be directly through a WhatsApp as a medium or to our Instagram or a Facebook. We actually encourage the guests to go in and post anything for that matter, and accordingly they get rewarded for that too. And as a brand standard, we do not solicit any of these reviews, but we encourage them to share from timely feedbacks, right? I think in my experience, what I have seen, while we get those bad reviews, we go back to the guests, speak to them, and all those guests who have left, whether you say bad or ugly reviews, are either my loyal guests as we speak, or have been the best of the friends. I think we are in that space wherein we need to accept the fact that the expectations of the guest, and especially whether it is, where you call it as a luxury portfolio or any hotel for that matter, it is evolving. And especially with the domestic travelers, they are very well traveled. They do understand what to expect from each of these properties. And when you do not meet the expectations, I think you have an opportunity to fix it, and fix it to that extent that they go back and speak about it, how well it was received.
So
I think that's one of the best ways.
Tell me, okay, one is the case of guests giving lousy reviews, right? And there are also guests who give no reviews, right? So, how many of them, what percentage of guests give no reviews, right? And how do you manage that?
I think it's pretty difficult to put across a number. How many guests do not give a review? It becomes, it is directly related to the customer segment. There is a time wherein we had age group of 20 to 40, wherein everyone sort of gave a review proactively. And there are certain guests beyond 40 to 50, they do take some time after they check out, they take the good 48 hours to send the review. And there are some guests do not give a review at all. But there are some guests, who actually call and say, can we reach out to any of your managers because we want to speak? I think it's a mix.
Tell me, do you give them your hashtags and your social media handles?
Absolutely. And they are printed all across the property. So as you walk past the beach, or for that matter, any of the restaurant, you see all of these hashtags, the email IDs, the WhatsApp numbers, and they can reach out to any of these WhatsApp number, reach out to any of our Instagram profiles, directly messaging us.
All right. Excellent. Thanks, Satish. Amit, tell me.
Yes.
We are now well past our third lockdown. So let's talk the big fat Indian wedding, right? Are they back in Goa? One, and also MICE. Are the big guest numbers also back, or do you just see a trickle? What is your reading? How do you factor them in your budgets?
The big fat weddings are back in Goa, Bhuvnesh, but in a very, very disciplined manner. With COVID around, following all the protocols, it's definitely there in a disciplined manner. And especially as the destination gained popularity immensely because of the international destination is currently shut. So of course, the one location which everybody is going for a destination wedding is Goa. And that's where the segment has evolved drastically from what it was 2 years back. So if I can just give an example of our hotel, in last 6 months, we have done close to 35 weddings. And we were talking some time back about beach, and that's how when Aman was talking about beach, most of our wedding, or I would say 100% of our wedding happens on the beach. So you have one event which is happening on the beach, and rest of the event which happens on the open, whether it's in the lawn or in the garden. But when we say number, big fat wedding, the number varies from, of course, hotel to hotel with number of rooms they have, because almost 100% of weddings in Goa are residential. So the number varies from 150 to 250 or maximum 300 people at upper limit. Okay, with all the restriction there in place. So that's there. But the thing what we have seen is, of course, the wedding rate, of course, what we are asking and what we are getting and what was almost 100% than our regular rate. So when we talk about big fat wedding, yes, when we put that all together, then definitely that's then extra money or extra pound what we are getting end of the day of the wedding. So this is keeping all the restriction in place, keeping, definitely not dropping our guards, following all the COVID protocol. Okay, ensuring that there is a sense of safety and comfort, under our commitment of We Assure, which we have of ITC hotels. It's definitely back. The business is back with a bang. Okay, and I also see a big demand in this segment in this coming year. So even 22-23, this segment will be in a big demand. And for coming year, and even for the past year, this segment, only to our hotel has given good 40% of revenue in terms of overall room revenue. So the wedding and MICE, since we are talking about MICE, is actually 40-45% of our total room contribution.
So tell me, these weddings will be pretty informal, or are they very formal? Where if it's a wedding on the beach, they adorn their best.
No, everything is so the entire celebration or the rituals what we do in a ballroom or in a lawn, it happens on the beach. So the entire fera happens on the beach.
All right.
So as I said, in last 6 months we have done close to 35 weddings, and one ritual of fera happens on the beach.
Excellent. So let me now go back with my last question to Tanveer. Tanveer, tell me, in the backdrop of the last 2 years, which have been such a challenge, there has been a significant transformation in consumer mindset, behavior and expectations. If you can tell us about the notable changes that you've noticed amongst the guests, right, and their expectations. How do you align with your team, strategize and handle this new challenge?
So, obviously there's been a paradigm shift in the way we've conducted business. And then obviously there was this small change of every hotel brand coming up with new policies and procedure. I think three things that I feel and we feel as a hotel, as a brand, that have really sort of changed the mindset. People look now for more compassion. Our customers look for empathy. That doesn't mean that you can't be assertive. And definitely, and most definitely, loyalty has taken a front seat. Loyalty is what helps them build the trust in the brand. So these are few sort of consumer behavior changes that we've seen now. Obviously, trickling it down through leadership. I mean, empathy in leadership is the most important, right? It might be a soft skill. The moment you start trickling it down to your teams, I think you're able to deliver this experience that your customer is looking for. F&B is something now hotels can play a lot more. I feel there was a time when hotels were losing their faith in F&B with their customers. Now with this whole new wave of hotels making a change in the restaurant. By the way, there's a lot of investment done in a lot of hotels in food and beverage. So there is a chance of a good comeback. Customers have more faith in hotels, food and beverage, and hence, they're expecting a better experiential curated events at the hotel. Just look at the beverage space in Goa. It's expanding, and how. Today you have some of the best brands out of Goa, right? So customers have changed the way they look at the hotel. Like Satish mentioned as well, it's not just about food. It's about food and beverage. In W, we call it beverage and food, BNF. So customers have also understood that, and then they have made that behavioral change, and they come to Goa, they look for great beverages, great beverage brands. There's a great experience that Kazulo does with Feni, just close to the airport. I mean, it's just amazing. I see how many guests actually land, go to Kazulo for an experience, and then come to the hotel. So I think people have evolved. They're looking Goa with a different lens. And I think all of this is only helping us grow and become more stronger in the industry.
Yeah, so, Goa is a complete package, like they say. And I know how often you people revise your rates upwards. I mean, if the going is good, there'll be seasons and off season. Very little of an off season really now. But if a guest is really looking for that experience, then he's not going to haggle over the last few hundred rupees or a few thousand rupees, as long as you're able to deliver an experience matching their expectations. So yeah, that's where your brand and your reviews will come into play, and what are you able to deliver. And really, I mean, the only parallel that I can draw is being in retail on the high street and being in retail in the mall. The mall already creates the footfall, whereas on the high street, you have to create a footfall, right? And attract the guest. Goa's already creating a footfall for you. So it makes it that much more easier. Goa is attracting the guests. Now, how do you pull the guest into your hotel and convert the stay into a fabulous experience, right? Something that they will, you've got to go that extra few steps and make it truly memorable. Is that a right assessment? Yeah. So gentlemen, it's been a wonderful session for me. I've truly enjoyed my stay with you on this session. I couldn't have asked for better speakers, for better general management leaders, from better brands. If I have Marriott over here, I have Hilton, I have ITC, I have Leela, I have Accor, and I have the Hype there, right? So you've got the best brands, you've got the best general managers, and yeah, who has given you an opportunity to deliver a great experience. Excellent. Thank you for being on our show. It truly has been a pleasure dealing with you to the run up to the show and now during the show. Thank you for being on our show. Yeah. Before you go away, I shall very briefly introduce once again the next session, which is day after tomorrow, Thursday, 24th of March, Hotel Business in Goa, Changing Tourism Landscape. So that's a session day after. And we shall close with a video of our sponsor, Seeba, ThinKitchen. Thank you all.